When somebody goes into the criminal justice system for the first time, what they're really looking for is justice. And that's really not the best thing to be thinking that's going to be coming. You should be anticipating that if prosecutors have brought a case against you, they're looking for a conviction. And that conviction means that a sentencing hearing will follow. In fact, in the vast majority of cases, or people who face criminal charges in the federal court, a sentencing hearing is going to follow. It's going to follow either by a guilty plea, a plea agreement, or there's going to be a trial and a conviction at trial. My name is Michael Santos, and I'm the founder of Prison Professors. We're a nonprofit that provides information to help people who are going into the criminal justice system learn what steps can I take to prepare for the best possible outcome. And although one of the first things that you're probably going to do if you're facing challenges with the criminal justice system is to hire a defense attorney, you should also be thinking about sentencing. And what could I do if I have to plead guilty, or if a jury convicts me? What should I be doing to prepare for that inevitable sentencing hearing? The sooner you start thinking about sentencing, the more effective you are going to be at architecting a plan that will help you get the best possible outcome. I didn't do that. I was young, foolish. I was in my early 20s when I started trafficking in cocaine. I was 23 when authorities arrested me. I wanted to believe what the defense attorney said, that there's a big difference between an indictment and a conviction. But for those who are brought into the federal criminal justice system, there's not that big of a difference. By the time federal prosecutors bring a case against somebody, they have invested hundreds, if not thousands of man-hours to build a case. They have gathered evidence. They have discussed with colleagues. They have game theoried it out and figured out, do we have a better than 90% chance of getting a conviction? That means 9 out of every 10 people that they bring a case against, they are going to face a sentencing hearing eventually. So the sooner you start thinking about that, the better off you're going to be. The better off you're going to be able to architect a plan. Anybody that's going into this system or in any kind of a crisis, you've really got to be thinking about, how do I live as if I'm the CEO of my life? I can't change the past. All I can do is deal with life and the situation as I currently am experiencing it. And the past has resulted in some body of work, some body of evidence that has persuaded either civil attorneys that have then worked together to build a case with criminal attorneys at the Department of Justice, and they have decided to either convene a grand jury or bring a criminal complaint or a criminal information for a criminal charge. But when they have done that, those prosecutors firmly believe that a conviction will follow. And when they are making that case, they are also preparing for sentencing. But they are preparing to get the most onerous sentence. They are preparing to build a case so that the judge will only see you for the facts of the case. They don't want them to see that you're a good father, a good wife, a good daughter, a good husband, a good citizen. They only want to focus on the case. It's up to you to build a mitigation strategy, and that mitigation strategy should include preparation for allocution. If you visit prisonprofessors.org, and I'll actually share my screen so that you can see it, you will see that I publish every single day, okay? Every day, there's all kinds of information here that you can find that we use to guide people towards success. But here's a key term. Everything is free. All the lessons are free. All of the guidance that we offer is free. You have to do the work. But if you want to see what we're about, you could just simply click that link right there and read our concept paper. I update this all the time so that we talk about our mission. And the reason that I present that information to you is because I want you to understand why you could trust this work as a body of work or as a resource that you could use to start working towards the best possible outcome. Everything on this site is free. In fact, I always make 3 promises to anybody who visits our community. 1, I'm never going to lie to you. 2, I'm never going to ask you to do anything I didn't do. And 3, I'm never going to charge you a penny for anything that's on Prison Professors. You just have to be willing to learn, to do the work, to build a case that will lead you to the best possible outcome. And you may want to talk to somebody. I just want to be upfront. My focus is on changing the entire system so that people like you don't go to prison, so that people like you could work toward earning freedom through merit rather than having the system lock you inside of a cage. So I work on the macro side, but my partner and sponsor for our nonprofit hosts a free webinar every week where you can interact and ask your questions. But I am here to tell you, anything you hire somebody to do, you can do on your own. You can prepare for sentencing by simply learning about the process and then figuring out steps, seeds that you can take to make yourself a better candidate. And you'll see every day, as I said, every day I publish, I would encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter. That also is free, where I recap everything that I'm producing, or just visit our daily blog. And you can just see our daily blog right here at the top of our screen. Just go to the Founders section, and then you'll see daily blog right there. I see that on May the 5th, I wrote a blog about allocution at sentencing. So if you click that blog, you kind of get an idea of how I am trying to help members of our community really understand what is an allocution. And just to give you a very simple debriefing or a simple bullet point, high-level view of allocution, it's your opportunity to speak directly with the judge at sentencing. So during a sentencing hearing, the first thing that's going to happen is the judge is going to try and resolve any inconsistencies between what the federal probation officer wrote in a pre-sentence investigation report, what prosecutors are going to argue if there is a disagreement from the defense attorney or the probation officer. They may have a different viewpoint than the probation officer. They will definitely have a different viewpoint than your defense attorney. And so the judge will ask the probation officer to speak about the PSR. He will ask the prosecutor's viewpoint or perspective on that. He will then ask the defense attorney to speak, and then the judge will make a ruling. And this ruling frequently involves things such as the amount of loss in a financial crime, or the amount of drugs in a drug crime, or whether there was a use of force, or whether there is a prior criminal history. All of these are matters that are legal, and the defense attorney will state the defense's case, the prosecutor will state the defense's case, but when the judge makes a ruling, the district court judge, that is a matter of fact. And then that is what's going to be taken into consideration during the sentencing hearing, because the judge is going to start with some base offense level and criminal history score, and he's going to see this range of a guideline range for the sentence. But before he imposes the sentence, he is going to ask the defense attorney, does your client want to address the court? That's what allocution is. And your job, if you're facing this, is to understand allocution and understand what can you do about it. So like on the blog today, I noticed that I've already also plugged in there the law, which you could just sit there and look at, Rule 32, sentencing and judgment. And you could look at how the entire process works with the pre-sentence investigation, the factors that the judge is going to consider, whether there's going to be restitution. You could see what the pre-sentencing report is going to include. And then you could also look through here and see, what is the judge going to be considering at sentencing? Okay, and here they are right here. Here are the sentencing factors that the court must do at sentencing. The judge must verify that the defendant and the defendant's attorney have read and discussed the pre-sentence report. He must give the defendant and an attorney for the government a written summary of any information excluded from the PSR. He must, consider all these different factors, and also, as you see here in number 4, give the opportunity to speak. So if you're a defendant, you have an opportunity to speak, and you want to really understand these concepts of Rule 32 and what you can do. So on this blog, I provide a little bit more data for you to assess, including this is a great article that you might want to read. It's a law review article by a sentencing judge his name is former U.S. District Court Judge Mark Bennett. You can see an interview that I did with Mark Bennett someplace else on the website. where I asked him about preparing. But here he's talking about allocution and how important it is for people who are facing sentencing hearing. You really can move the needle if you're sincere and authentic, if you've prepared well, if you've built a solid mitigation strategy that takes everything you've learned into consideration. Take some common pitfalls and take some steps to avoid common pitfalls, like just basically saying you're sorry, or you found the Lord, or you're going to miss your wife and kids, or why you shouldn't go to prison. Build a solid case. If you don't know how to build a solid case, I really encourage you to spend a lot of time on the website, because you will develop ideas on things that you can say at sentencing. You want to be thinking not in terms of a perspective of your perspective. You want to be thinking about the stakeholders, because you're going to be creating a record that's going to live with you for a very long time, not only in terms of getting the lowest possible sentence, but then once you go into the system, you are going to have to be looking for administrative relief. I mean, if you're facing a sentence of 5 years and you get a sentence of 36 months because you've prepared well, your allocution and preparation and mitigation strategy is amazing, and you get 36 months, I can assure you, once you get to prison, you're going to want to have and position yourself for administrative relief, so that instead of serving 36 months, you could reverse engineer your way to say, maybe I can get out in 30 months or 24 months or 20 months or 18 months or 12 months. And there are possibilities for you to advance that release date through administrative relief. And that's really what my job is as the founder of Prison Professors. I try to bring macro changes to the system so that more people can work to earn freedom. And I would really encourage you to use our website. It's 100% free. You could get all kinds of information. If you need to talk with somebody, I would just urge you to reach out to our sponsor instead of me, because it's unlikely that I'm going to have the opportunity to speak with anybody individually. But you could definitely participate in the interactive webinar where formerly incarcerated people are on there, and they're going to share their experiences. They're going to respond to your questions. We're not lawyers. We can only share with you what we have learned from going through the system. And if you're coming into the system, you definitely want to be arming yourself with as much information as you possibly can, because it's super important for you to position yourself for the best possible outcome. Don't wait for somebody else to change your life. You've got to build a case so that you are a great candidate for leniency at various stages. At the pre-sentence investigation report, you want to make a favorable impression. At sentencing, you want to make a favorable impression. Once you get into the system, you want to build a body of work to make a favorable impression. But if you don't know how to do that, you're not nearly as strong or confident as if you do. And we offer all that information for free, but you've got to do the work. That means you've got to go on there and read. And every day I publish, it's my hope that you are learning. If you have questions, go to the interactive webinar, or you can visit that area of my site where there's Ask Me Anything under the courses, and I may film a video in response to your questions. My name is Michael Santos. I am the founder of Prison Professors, and I believe in you.